Alright, here's the second video going on to shading and fine-tuning your painting here. So we did watercolor to begin with. Put that down. We left holes for highlights in certain areas. Reflected light. That's always good if you can do that. That shows a good high contrast. If you paint it all flat, that's going to be a little bit more work for you later on. Especially get those highlights in there. The paper's already white. Let's use it to our advantage. Let's be a little lazy and use the white paper as our highlights. That's what I like doing. Nothing wrong with a little laziness. As long as you get the same effect, less work, sounds good to me. I'm using the Crayolas in cases that's all that you are going to be using, along with the prangs and the God knows what else, rose art, or the other lower end coloring. I don't know why this is in there. It's a drawing pencil. If you can use Prismacolor color pencils, that's better. I prefer Faber-Castell. If you can use those as well, that's good. I'm very protective of those, so ask permission before taking. And like I told you in the last one, I got this, it looks brown, but it actually says orange. And you can use this to darken up areas. And you're going to build a contrast. And you're going to want to layer colors over top of each other. And this will put in a higher resolution, basically, what you got going on. You're going to be shading. More pressure you put on the colored pencils, the more pigmentation you want to go. So you want to go soft first and go darker later. So that you're not overly working your piece of artwork. Some of you might wonder, well, why, if we're going to be coloring over colored pencil, why are we putting watercolor over first? That is just to get the base. If you had my charcoal drawing class, then you also know you put the vine down first to set the base, and that way you don't have to use as much, and you can get a different effect. Because the only thing you're going to be concerned about right now is the shadows. You already got the midtones, you already got the highlights. And you're just going to be more concerned with how rich and vivid your shadows are going to be. And that can really make your drawing, your painting, your illustration, your rendering, your sketching, and other adjectives. We can raise that contrast with putting a brown. Normally I like using like an umber, a burnt sienna, but you really don't have that with the Crayolas, the Sargent Art. So you gotta kind of pick and choose. If you're using a finer set of colored pencils, I suggest getting those, especially umbers and burnt sienna. They are great for shadowing flesh tones. They're great for using for flesh tones. Also an ochre, which is like a yellowish brown, and definitely a pink. Pink is wonderful to go in for subtle highlights in areas like the cheeks, the nose, the lips, and the forehead, and the fingers. So I got this, it's magenta. So I'm going to take that and lightly put it over, and I'm going to change the color of the lips here. Harder where I want it at, darker, more pressure where I want it darker. This colored pencil would not be my favorite. It's like a little too waxy. It's a dark brown. I figured I'd have a black. We can use the same red here. and accentuate and add that layering color. Still letting that orange peek through, but shading it in the way that we want to add that color, to add that vividness to what we're doing. So you can see we're adding color, a little blush, a little color to the nose. We can take the brown and we can add more shadow, layering on top, adding more contrast. And as you proceed, as you're layering, you might have to press a little bit harder with these cheaper pencils to get pigmentation down. But if you always start off light, you can always go dark. And I'll let the color flow through and keep that shadow. And that's basically how you'll shade everything, laying down first watercolor and then accentuating it through colored pencil. Also note and remark that I'm not using just one colored pencil, I'm using multiple to get that layered and that vibrant hue to show depth and form. If you want to tighten up your drawing afterwards, then you can always add a marker and go around some of your line work if you so like. Since you're not using graphite, it's not going to really damage the marker a great deal. Some people like the line work. Some people do not. But that would be your very last step if you wanted to add the marker. That has been the introduction to mixed media. Reference both these videos and have a great and wonderful day.